Hello everyone, Kaoz here, and welcome to another old school RuneScape video. It is that time of the year once again. This time around, I bring you Runelite plugins I simply cannot play without, and it doubles down as my most frequently asked plugins on stream, so both video and stream viewers can learn how to play the game more comfortably. This will have a little twist to it, so stick around to find out what's different about it. Boys and girls, Moneda's birthday was last week, so for every new subscriber and a like on this video, she will get a present from our wonderful audience. And you can also join our Discord server with the link in the description to play with me and our amazing community. Alright, so what's different about this video? In previous iterations, I have given you more than 50 plugins and only briefly talked about what they do. But this time, I want to make a shorter list and actually show you how to set them up. These plugins have changed the way I play the game forever, and I hope to give you some tips to make your OSRS experience even better. If you have any questions about any of them, you can ask away on Discord, and stick around for our weekly bond giveaway. That being said, grab your favorite drink and snack, and let's begin. So boys and girls, welcome to an unscripted part of the video in which I am going to show you all my personal favorite Runelite plugins and give you a live demonstration on how to set them up, because people ask me a lot about them on stream and I want to send them off to this video in case they have any questions. The very first thing that you have to do when you download Runelite is that you will see this little square on the top right corner. It will be green. What's going to happen when you click on it? You cannot see this on screen right now because I'm capturing another window. I am going to get a window pop-up of your default browser. In my case, it's going to be Google Chrome. And I want you to make a Runelite profile, a Runelite account. This is basically going to be separate from your old school RuneScape account. But what this does is that it's going to save every single Runelite plugin you have ever downloaded, even the default ones. And it is also going to save every single one of your settings. This means that if you play on multiple computers, if you plan on migrating to another computer, as long as you log into this one, you save all of this, and then you log into the other computer, all you have to do is log in to your new computer, and it is going to import everything. I have seen this done automatically. However, if you haven't, what's going to happen is that the middle button between your current plugins and the plugin hub is going to be a little profile area in which you can make a profile, and if you don't have one of these, make sure to create a new one, and then you want to have this button right here in orange, I would say. This is going to enable Cloud Sync, which is basically going to save everything you do on Runelite. And if I go to another computer, which I'm using the old one, but I got another one for streaming because it was having a lot of problems and it was turning off. In my new computer, all I had to do, download plugin, log into my Runelite profile, and then go ahead and use the Kaoz profile, and then boom, every single one of my plugins and every single one of my settings was actually imported or exported, whatever. So that means that I didn't have to download anything, I didn't have to do anything, and I was able to play right away. Another frequent question I get on stream is, why does my game look different, and what can people do in order for their game to look like mine? When using Runelite, I downloaded a plugin called 117 HD, which is fairly popular, and as you can see, I am going to scroll through my settings very slowly so you can actually copy them if you want your game to look like this. But the only things I have ever changed with this plugin is my draw distance, which is going to make it so the bigger this number, the farther away you will see. However, I feel like, anything higher than 80 or 70 is not really going to do a lot. And the only other thing that I have changed is, I believe, I changed a little bit of brightness. This number should be different. And the third and only thing I have changed is dynamic lights. I only have some. In a previous computer that I had, I just played with none because it made the stream lag a little bit and I didn't really like it. And as you can see, I run the default settings. There's nothing else that I change. This, again, like the Runelite plugin, is a little bit more technical. You can have like something even more technical like model caching, miscellaneous, experimental, but every single one of these is left on their default setting, and I only change the draw distance, brightness, and of course dynamic lights. If you want your game to look even better, you can mess with these, but make sure to save as it was, or you can maybe return them to the default state in order for you not to mess it up. However, the screen is going to go dark here in just a second. If your PC cannot handle 117 HD, I recommend at least using the GPU plugin. This is still going to make the game look a little smooth, and as you can see, it still looks pretty good, because if I turn them off, then the game is just gonna look a little choppy and it's weird. Oh, dude, I thought the screen was gonna go dark for a second, but the screen right now without the GPU looks a little choppy. And as long as you turn this one on just once, dude, it looks so much better. However, obviously with the Runelite plugin, there we go, dude, just look at the difference. But boys and girls, for anyone asking about my Runelite settings, for 117 HD, here we go, and I hope that your game looks as good as mine does. Let's now talk about, if not my most frequent question on stream, it's definitely one of the top 3, and it is how do I make my bank look like this, like this, like this, basically as something that has empty spaces in order for it to be ready, in order for me to know what to wear and what to have in my inventory. This is a combination between 2 plugins called the bank tags and the bank tag layouts. I believe you can have bank tags on its own, and it is going to do this. It will give you the left, I would say, like tabs that you can see in the bank right now. I activate it and then boom. See how if I turn it off, even like that entire thing just like does not show up at all, because that is exactly what I'm hiding. However, if I click on the bosses, boom, there you go, all the inventory and the gear that I'm wearing. And speaking about gear, what does it look like I'm going to be doing with my gear just like this? Well, we are going to go to the giant mall. Currently, I do not have a giant mall tab in my inventory, but if I want to go to the giant mall, what am I going to do? So the very first thing, in order for your bank tag to look like this, we are going to click on the plus button on the top left corner, and I am going to type giant mall. You can name it whatever you want, it shouldn't really be an issue. What you can do, what I like to do with all my tags, is that I'm going to right click it, change icon, and I'm going to type mall. I'll have the naked mall as I want it right here. Now, what can I do? The very first thing that I do not recommend you do, but you can do just in case, is that you can drag your items to whatever tab you want. And when you do that, basically every single item that you dragged in here is going to be in this tab, because if you edit the tag, it will be giant mall. Right? So basically my Torva helmet is in 17 inventory tags, which are part of any setup that I normally use for bossing. Now, if I do this, and if I remove the tag from this is going to manually take it out of the tab. However, I can just right click it with the item in the tag, and I am going to remove tag, right? So you can basically remove it, and that is going to be it. However, how can you make it even faster, and how can I make it so my entire gear and inventory is set up just like this? So easy. Look, you are going to click the white arrows. I was going to say yellow for some reason. Click the white arrows and do preview auto layout. If you click on the check, that looks okay for horizontal setup. However, you can make it, this is something I learned relatively recently, is that you can make it so it shows up like this automatically. How do you do that? We're going to do it again. If I do delete tag tab and all items, all that entire tab is just going to be gone. I'm going to do the same, giant mall. And then if I go down here, I am going to click the icon once again, type mall, naked little mall, and then click on this one. And I want you to go to bank tag layouts, settings, and the auto layout style, you're going to change it to presets, right? That way, when you click on the yellow, again, on the white arrows, boom, just look at that, click check. That's just so easy. This makes things insanely powerful for bossing and for anything that you want in order for you to get going for whatever activity you want. It can't just be bossing, it can be scaling, a farm run, mining, runecrafting, smithing, anything that you want. So if you like the bank tabs and the bank tag layout, I'm going to show you something that's even more convenient. However, may not save as much time as the previous ones I showed you, but it's something you simply cannot play without in 2025 and as soon as you download Runelite, and that is the famous menu entry swapper. Now, it is so powerful, in fact, that Jagex copied it to a certain extent in the mobile version of the game. I'm not really sure if this is on the base PC client if you're not using Runelite, but you guys can let me know in the comments. But this one is going to go a little quicker because every single thing you see here, except for 3 things, on the item swaps, NPC swaps, and object swaps, is going to be made irrelevant because of customizable left click, customizable shift click, and the teleport sub menus. I'm going to disable them and show you what happens. So basically, I don't have these active, I am going to left click my construction cape and I just wear it. If I re-equip my infernal cape and if I right click my construction cape, you will see that I just get the normal options that I normally would. If I shift right click my construction cape, I will get 2 options, but nothing really happens if I just like hover over them. What will happen if I enable all 3 of these is that whenever I hold shift and I right click my construction cape, I now have different options for me to change the left click and the shift click option here on my cape whenever I interact with it. So basically, what I have is that whenever I click on my construction cape, I will be instantly teleported to my POH, and this is my one-click teleport to wherever I want, right? Basically, what I can do is, I don't have the setup, so this is going to be new. If I shift click, you will see that I am still going to teleport to my POH. However, let's go ahead and change that. If I shift right click it, and I am going to change the swap shift click, why don't we go to Prifddinas, because that is where I have my POH. I am holding shift right now, and if I click my construction cape, where am I going to go? Ah, dude, of course I'm going to go to Prifddinas. I mean, okay, Scapers, this is Kaoz from the future letting you know that you can do the same thing with items in your equipment. For example, if I click on my candor and headgear, I just equip it. But if I go to this tab and if I click it normally, I am going to be teleported to Watson. Basically, what you do in your inventory, you can do in your equipment tab. I am holding shift, I right click it, and then I can change both the swap to left click and swap shift click. I have the same with the Karamja gloves. If I left click them here, I take them off, but if I shift click them in my equipment, I am going to be teleported to Shiloh Village. Same thing I believe for the Frenetic boots, as well as other items that I normally use for clue scrolls, but this is something even more powerful that you can have 2 options here and then 2 options in your equipment. So make sure to use that to your advantage. I could have potentially used the portal, but let's imagine that my POH is not in Prifddinas. So why was I here? Basically, you can do the same thing with every single item, every single thing you want to interact with. If I don't want to click on the magic tree because I just want to walk here, I am going to hold shift, right click the magic tree, and my left click is going to be walk. Then I cannot click on the magic tree no matter how hard I try. If I want to try clicking on this magic tree, that's also not going to happen because it is the same entity and it is going to respect this for everything. If I don't want to do that, what will happen is that my left click is going to be put on reset. And there you go. Now I can chop the magic tree. So why was I here at Prifddinas to begin with? Is that if I close menu item swap, so for example, I don't want a random event, thank you. So why is all of this irrelevant to begin with? If I want to use my Karamja gloves, for example, and if I remove them, I can have options to go to have a specific thing on my Karamja gloves, but basically the customizable left and shift click is going to make that irrelevant, because if I click on them here, remove them, I can make it so my left click is what about the gem mine, and if I click on it, this is going to take me to the gem mine in a single click. So basically, whoever made this was shot in the foot, because these 3 options are basically invalidate everything, and you can change every single item. So what I have right now for my achievement diary cape is that my left click is teleport, and my shift click takes me to the guy in Shiloh Village for my runecrafting method for nature runes, because I was recording that just a few days ago. So that's pretty cool. But why am I here at Prifddinas? If I trade, so I already told you that item, NPC, and object swaps are made irrelevant by the shift click option. So what happens with this one is that if you go to UI swaps, it will give you the option to shop by shift click or shop sell shift click, say that 3 times fast. And instead of me having to right click buy, I can hold shift, right click, and then swap a left click to buy 50. That way, instead of having to left click, look, my left click is already set to buy 100 of each air rune. You're gonna have to do this with every single item that you want to buy multiple times though, because if I click on this is just going to give me a value, right? If I hold shift, change it to the water rune by 50, boom, then I can just spam it. Well, I mean, I didn't do it, sorry, value, left click, buy 50, and then boom, look at that, I'm already buying water runes. So, in order to summarize all of this, because this has probably been the longest one that I've had so far for you guys, every single thing that you see here, NPC swap, deposit items, chase, bank. If you go to the Grand Exchange, you will see that if you talk to the bankers, you are going to talk to them. You're not really going to bank. However, instead of doing that, which I'm going to show you right now, instead of doing this, is that you can basically swap the option for every single thing that you can interact with, right? Everything on my POH, I can swap the shift or left click to, right? If I hold shift and click on the banker, my left click right? It's just basically going to be bank. I think this was like done recently, so maybe this was a mobile only thing. So if you see any banker that you talk to, like for example, you can do left click and then talk to, right? You would normally talk to the banker, however you can change it, right? If I go bank, right? This is like basically like you're overriding this one. But if you change left click bank, boom, then you're gonna open it. And if you want to do the same with the Grand Exchange, normally you left click it. If I want to change it, if I left click, I want to, let's say history, I left click it and boom, I'm just gonna go to my history, easy. So then left click, I am just going to do exchange, and by left clicking the Grand Exchange clerk, then they are just going to open the Grand Exchange UI and of course give you your bank whenever you go to the bankers at the Grand Exchange. You can do this with every single item, like for example for Narda, the final thing I'm going to show you is that my left click when doing Zulra, boom, here I am. And this is just absolutely insane. So boys and girls, you can let me know how you use the menu and your swapper plugin, because this is definitely the one that will take the longest amount of time here in this video, and the one that you can play with around the most in order to set things to your liking and to make old school RuneScape even more convenient. Now let's do something shorter and less convoluted than the previous one, and this is something called tile indicators. If I turn it off, you will see that when my character moves, there's just, I mean, sure, you're running around and there's nothing really to indicate where your character is. If you don't know how movement works in old school RuneScape, basically every tick, if you're running, you're gonna move 2 tiles away. If you're walking, you're gonna move 1 tile at a time. But if you are in a dangerous or like maybe a high pressure situation in a PvP, like a boss or a raid, you need to know exactly where you are at all times, and this is where tile indicators comes in. If I turn it on, I know where my character is at all times, and this is going to basically give me the confidence of knowing where I'm standing, if I can time a certain mechanic, if I need to stand at a certain, like, tile at a certain time in order to avoid damage, avoid death. This, when I learned about this, I have never turned this off, even for videos. So basically, how do you do this? I only have this set to 2 things. The highlight destination tile, whenever I click on something, it will tell me what tile my character is going to, and it's set to gray. Easy. The third one, which is the current tile, it basically tells you where your character is at all times, and my highlight color is, light blue. There's something you can try. I personally don't like this. If you include or if you enable this one, it will highlight the tile you are hovering to know exactly where you are going to click. I don't know why I don't like this one, but this is basically completely up to you guys, where I just don't like to see where this is highlighted, but it's just up to personal preference. Turn that off, and then this will basically let you know where your character is, whether it be running or walking. And yeah, this is going to be super useful for raids and high level bossing, or even things that you can do for skilling and basic simple things. Our next step is going to bring us to Vardorvis to show you another combination of plugins I really like, and that is NPC Indicators as well as Better NPC Highlight. Be advised that whatever you can do with NPC Indicators, you can do with Better NPC Highlight. However, this one is the simpler one, and I'm going to show you how to use the basics of it. So if you want to get fancier, I can show you this other one. So basically, what happens with this one, when you turn it on, you will have the option to hold the shift and the right click any enemy, and you can tag them. This is another very frequent question I get on stream, and you can do the same with untag them, which is going to automatically add them to a list. Every single monster you see here is something that I have personally tagged in order to see where they are at all times. In order to know how they are moving, you want to enable highlight tile, highlight true tile, and I also have this one, the highlight southwest tile, because that is where the enemies are trying to line up with you, which I explained in, I believe, my Fire Cape video on how to safe spot things in the Inferno and other places. So basically, let's do that with Vardorvis. I am going to hold shift, right click, and then if I do this with a tag, then you will see that Vardorvis is here. Now, why am I at Vardorvis? If we go to the other one, Better NPC Highlight, really the only thing I use from this, if you want to experiment with this is what's going to happen, right? If I turn off NPC indicators, this is just not going to show me Vardorvis. However, if I go to many of these, you will see true tile, and if I highlight true names, which is Vardorvis, turn it on, it's just basically going to show me where Vardorvis is. Highlight southwest tile, this is southwest tile of Vardorvis. Go to southwest true tile, it is going to show me the true tile of Vardorvis, which, remember, true tile is different from where the boss is. True tile is how fast the enemy is moving, and this is especially useful for Vardorvis, which is a boss that can actually run and move more than 2 tiles per tick. If you go to hull, it's basically going to tell you the clickable area. You will see that as soon as my mouse leaves this blue like highlighted thing, I am not able to click on Vardorvis anymore, right? That is the one that says hull. I am going to turn off the southwest tile. If I click on area, you will see that it's basically going to be the same as hull, but it will be like the entire like square that's highlighted. Turn that one off. Outline, if I do this, it is just going to outline the boss, which is not really good for like clicking, I would say, accuracy, because you can click here and you will click on Vardorvis, but it's not really showing you, like it's only showing the outline, which is useful in some situations, but I personally don't use it. And then click box, it will show all of it, even if it's pixelated, all the areas where you can actually click on Vardorvis, and this is the more accurate one if you want to get better at the game. Do not use this one. I tried it and it gives me fucking migraine, so please get away from it. So basically, why am I here at Vardorvis? I am going to click away from the click box and I am going to re-enable NPC indicators. Basically, you want to copy these numbers that I have right here. And why is that? If I start killing Vardorvis, you will see I will add something in the description of where you can get IDs from objects around the game. Why are these IDs necessary? If I click on highlight through tile, you will see that I can check out where the axes are, and one of these numbers is actually the axe, which I want to avoid, and this is going to make Vardorvis so much better. You can do this with whatever. Basically, I also do this with the waves from Zebak in order to do the Zebak wave skip. You can do basically add any ID of any object that you want here to tell you where that thing is at all times. And that is so powerful in order for you to become even better at the game and avoid a ton of damage. I'm going to do a quick escape. Remember, I am going to have something on screen or in the description of where to get those IDs from, because if it's not from videos or people giving me those IDs, I don't know how to get them, but I will give you guys that information in the description if you want to highlight your own customizable things so you can actually know where things are at all times. So, better NPC highlight and NPC indicators is something you simply cannot play without in 2025 and beyond. Okay, let's move on with more things you can do with the ground, and we're going to go to ground items and the ground markers, starting with items because it is going to give you even more dopamine, and I'll show you why. This one we're going to skip for now, but we're going to go all the way to the bottom, and you can copy the way I have these ones set up. Basically, for price display, item highlight, and menu item highlight, as well as highlight value, so these four, basically depend on if you're a normie account or an Ironman. If you're an unrestricted account, you basically want to have either the Grand Exchange to tell you how expensive an item you just got is, and if you're an Ironman, then you can basically set it to whatever item value you want based on an item you got, because you don't really care about the GE price because, well, you're not really going to sell anything. So we're going to move on to these ones and the color that is going to notify you of the drop that you just got, and it is going to give you a ton of dopamine. I'm going to go from bottom to top, and basically every item worth 1 million GP I get is basically going to be this shade of red. Any item value between 100k and 1 mil is going to be highlighted green. Items between 50k and 20k, and 100k are going to be blue. And items between 20k and 50k are going to be purple. Some people freak out when I have this as purple and I got like an expensive drop, but it's not really anything interesting because these were sort of the default color that I got when I installed Runelite. We have hidden plugins in gray and the highlighted items in bright red, which I'm going to show you the difference between those. So once I have this set, as you can see right here, if I drop an Abyssal Whip, first it's going to give me the warning. I drop it, and boom. If I see red on my screen, I automatically know that it's dopamine, and boom. Even if it's 1 million GP, I have 15 billion GP in the bank, and even 1 mil still gives me, still puts a smile on my face. Basically, if I drop my Dragon Arrows, this stack is going to be 500, it's worth 871k, which is between these two values. Move on to this one, and I drop the Ruby Bolts, they're gonna look blue. I drop the Diamond Bolts, they're gonna look purple. And I drop the Rune Arrows, they're gonna look white, because anything between 5k and 20k is basically going to be that. Anything lower than that is going to show up on the ground, but I'm gonna show you how you can hide things in order to, in order for you like not to care about, trash like bones or anything. So I'm going to pick up all my items. That is how you set up your colors, which is very nice, and that you can customize to however you want. You can have purple for like multi-million-dollar items, and that is really cool. So basically, why do I have bones and why do I have an ecumenical key? If I drop bones, you will see that they do not show up. And why is that? If you hold Alt, this is going to show up. If I click on minus, right? Basically, I am not seeing this item on the ground. Why? Because it does not have the value necessary for them to show up. Even if they did, I can just basically hide these, and they are going to be put in this list of hidden items that whenever they drop on the ground, I do not care about them, and I don't want to see the text cluttering my screen. So you can hold Alt, and if I want to do that with the Abyssal Whip, for example, right? I can hold Alt, do minus, and then boom. Even if I get an Abyssal Whip drop, I'm just not going to see it. If I hold Alt again, and if I click minus, it is going to remove it from this list, which is going to hide it from that list, and I can actually see it. However, if I click on plus, it is going to give it a different shade of red, but I actually don't want to do that because this is the item value. However, for important items, which I only have right here, Draconic Visage, I have the Ecumenical Key, and when I was doing the Abyssal Sire, I also have an Unsired, right? Even for items that do not have any GE value, if I get an Ecumenical Key drop, what's going to happen? No matter the value of this item, because you cannot sell it on the Grand Exchange, but you can high alch it technically. If I am doing Godwar's Dungeon in the Wilderness, and if I'm killing the NPCs, if I see red text on the ground, that means I got an Ecumenical Key, and I am going to automatically pick it up. How you do that is basically I drop this, and like I already said, hold Alt, and I can hide this from here. It will basically show blue because of the high alch value. However, this is an important item I want, so I am going to hold Alt, and I'm going to highlight it. And these are basically the important ones that you can change the color. So for example, if I do highlighted items, and if I want to have it, let's say, for example, black, if I can pick that maybe, or maybe like gray, maybe like dark blue, right? And if I drop Ecumenical Key, boom, look at that. It's basically going to be whatever shade of color I want. It can be like maybe like a darker teal, like a darker tone of green, whatever. But for me, it is going to always be that bright red color that I'm never going to miss when I'm in the wildy or doing things like getting an Abyssal Sire, and this is absolutely insane. A lot of yapping, let's go over to ground markers, and this one is really simple. If you have this enabled, you can basically shift, right-click any tile in the map, and you can do this, boom. So for example, I'm gonna paint a little square right here, and what I can do is I can right-click this tile again, and I can label it. Sub please, right? If I do the same with this one, I label it and type a smiley face, right? Or if you're doing any PVM situation, if you label tile, then let's say, stand here for whatever mechanic that you want, right? You can also hold shift to right-click in order to pick a color tile, and you can manually change these. However, what's going to happen if you create a new tile, it is always going to be in this shade of gray. How you do that, how you change the default color of the ground markers that you want, is that you're going to click on tile color. Window just popped up that you can't see. And basically, let's swap it to dark, or like maybe basically like black, some shade of black maybe. And then if I right-click shift, this is basically gray. And you can also change the opacity, which is really cool. Right, so yeah, basically mine was in this color, I believe, current. You can change the opacity as well, and look at that, boom, easy. Well, I mean, that was not the color I had, but it will have to do for now. So yeah, this is basically how you do this. And the two final things: whenever you see videos that give you the tile markers, you are going to copy the tile markers to your clipboard, and you are going to import them. If you want to give your friends your tile markers, what you're going to do is that you're going to export them, and it is going to basically copy them to the ground. I cannot basically do paste right now on Old School RuneScape, but if I paste this on my notepad, it will give me these tiles that I have right here, and that is going to give me like a total of 10, which I don't know where else I have my tile markers, but it's going to grab them from the chunk, I believe, and that is why you see people giving you tile markers. Just in case you don't know where to get tile markers from, this extra pack, Tile Packs, is going to give you different like packs, like tile packs, as the name suggests, that you can basically import, and it will tell you exactly where you need to stand at all times. Something like, for example, TOB Maiden. You also have TOB Akapuzzle, like important tiles that you want to know in order to do bossing, or maybe even some scaling activities of your choice. So these are things that you can do with the ground. I've done a lot of yapping, so let's move on to the next one. Another frequent question I get on stream is, what are these outlines around my items and how do I get them? This is one of my favorite plugins I have never gotten rid of since I actually started using them, and this one is called Inventory Tags. If you open the settings for it, you will see that this is so simple that it's going to make every single plugin I've showed you so far look extremely complicated, but this is all you need. What you can do is you can outline, and this is going to give you yet another option in which I'm holding shift on my keyboard, and then if I click and then if I right click, it is going to give me yet another option called inventory tag. You can click or you can choose between these default colors, but something that you cannot see on screen right now that I'm going to do pick, it will do a little pop-out window that you can pick whatever color you want. And let's say that for my Torva helmet, I want like a shade of brown, for example. So I'm going to do that and then boom. I don't know if the video is able to pick it up because this is like a very like maybe weak tone of brown, but you can do this one. I can go back to red, and then you can basically do the same for every single item that you want. So you can basically go from purple to green. For mage, I basically do blue, but if I want my ancestral hat on red, then you can like inventory tag. There's no blue here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick blue, and then look at that, boom, my ancestral hat is back. If you don't have outline, and then if you turn this off, underline is just going to give you a little line under the item. And then fill is going to fill the color, like whatever color you pick the item. This looks a little awkward. I don't really recommend it, but you can also change the opacity. I recommend you do outline. This basically looks a little bit more natural, and I absolutely love it. Another super frequent question I get on stream and on my videos is about the bars that you see here next to my inventory. I want you to go to Runelite, click on status bars, and this is what you will get. Bar width, hide after combat, blah, blah, blah. We don't care about this. If I turn this off, you will see that the bars next to my inventory are going to be empty. Turn them on, and then boom. How do I do this? The left bar and the right bar also can be, this is actually new, by the way, can be customized with what? You can disable this one, so you have nothing on it. You can do hit points, you can do prayer, you can do run energy, you can do special attack, and you can also do warmth meter, which is only useful at Wintertoad, so I don't really recommend it unless you're going for 99 or 200 million. This is what I do, hit points and prayer. You can basically customize it to whatever you want. If you're doing something PvP related and you need a clearer way to see your special attack, then you can, for example, do hit points and, like for example, where is it? Special attack, right? If you're doing PvP, I would guess that you would want your prayer be more visible in case you're getting smited, but this is basically how you do it. Show counter, show icons, show restores. Basically, I just don't mess with this. I only have HP, prayer, and that is basically it. You can also hide it after combat. I don't really do this, and you can change this, but I don't really mess with this, so it is what it is. And the last one, also super common, is that if you type prayer on Runelite, turn this on, and you will see that if I click on my prayer tab, and if I turn this off, good luck to this guy, if I turn it off, you will see all my prayers right here. I turn it on, and some of these are going to be hidden. What happens with this one is that I want to disable prayer filtering, and if you, I want to enable prayer filtering, enable this one, and as you can see, this is going to be red. What happens with this is that if I activate any of, if I unhide, and then if I disable prayer reordering, this prayer is now shown, and it hides the others. So basically you can do this. You can hide whatever items or whatever prayers you want. For example, I have Chivalry deactivated, and then you can basically do the same with this one. I hide. You can even activate it while they're hidden, but it's really not that recommended. These are the only prayers I recommend you have active if you're an endgame player or whatever. If you are an early game player, you obviously want to see every single one of those, but disable prayer filtering, like for example, you can also do reordering, is that if you do this one, you can change where the prayers go, which I don't really recommend if you have good muscle memory, but this is basically something that will be up to personal preference. So an ISO 341 for my inventory tags, my status bars, and prayer. That is going to give your HUD for your inventory and prayers, a lot more customization. That's even how you say it. And I really hope you guys enjoy this one, and you can have a lot of fun changing these settings out. For the second to last category, I'm going to show you another pair of plugins that is going to get you more into the rhythm when you're learning the tick system in old school RuneScape, whether it's easier for you to learn with audio and with visual cues. For this, we are going to look at Metronome and the visual Metronome. This first one is really simple. I don't really play with it, but if you activate it, I want you to pay attention. It will give you an audio cue of how long 0.6 seconds actually is, or one take. You can change it to maybe like 4 takes, 2 takes, whatever you want. Basically, this is going to depend on what type of content you are learning. I personally don't like this, but if you don't want to like see something, you want to hear it, this is the plugin you want to go for. The one I personally use is Visual Metronome. When I turn it on, right now I only use it for Zarpus, for example, because I need to know when I have to click to walk back, right? If you don't want the overlay, like for example, Visual Metronome, you can turn off this little box if this is something easier for you to see. You can change the colors and you can change the number of colors that you have up to 10 ticks. This is completely up to you and something that's even more customizable, but I would only do 2. And if you don't like pink and green, if for example, another window just popped up, I can do, for example, red to green. If I don't like red, then I can basically do red to blue. This is going to depend on which colors you can actually see, like maybe colorblind people. You can pick whatever color you want in order to for you to actually see this. I don't normally use this one. I like to see the numbers on top of my head better, so I just basically turn this one off. And there's a lot of things that you can customize with this one. There's another one that basically has like little circles around like whatever you can like set them. However, a little box is basically more than enough for me, but you can pick whatever you want. And you can also increase the size. Like for example, if I want to increase the size of the number, if I want to have like 50, just look at how big this number can be. And even if you're zoomed out, boom. That looks pretty ridiculous. So yeah, whenever you are learning some new content in old school RuneScape, let me go back to like, what was it, like 15 maybe? Yeah, you can set this one and have audio or visual cues for whatever activity you are doing. This final category is dedicated for my fellow old school RuneScape content creators. If you are starting to get into thumbnails or even animation, these are tools that helped me out when I started making videos here on YouTube. Basically, if you activate Fashionscape, it will give you an extra button here on your sidebar. Click on it and you will see search, and then this will give you options for every visible equipable item that you can have in your character. If I go to helmet and type Tiscal, I don't have a Grandmaster helmet yet, don't tell anyone, this is a goal for 2025. I can have a Grandmaster helmet, but this is only going to be visible for me. No one else is going to see this, obviously. If I go here and if I go fighter torso, for example, this item is pretty cool looking. So if I want to have this look for a thumbnail or something, how would we do something like this? This is where our second plugin comes into play. And for that, I want you to type model so you can have model exporter. When you turn it on, it will give you an extra option in your worn equipment to export model and export animation sequence. I don't know how to do this. I only made a few thumbnails back in my day with Blender, but I just basically leave this to the experts, Falco AJ. And this is something you can start, animating with if you want to start learning Blender and making old school RuneScape thumbnails. Then this is how you would start and how you would get your character with whatever look into a program that you can actually manipulate your character or your models with. And you can basically do this with a lot of things. You can export model for the knights, you can export model for the staircase. The sky is the limit. Now, the third one that I don't really recommend it too much, but this helped me with my gear progression guide number 1, is the green screen plugin. When I turn it on, it will change basically everything except for my character to whatever color I want. Now, this is what I would do here if you want to like filter out everything, and if you want to use green screen, that's completely fine on your Premiere, Vegas, whatever program you use for editing. But the last one that I learned about recently is called blindfold. If you do this, you can basically make it so every single thing in your HUD, your experience, your minimap, your inventory, and your chat box is actually erased. You can change this, and if you go to the settings, then you can also show UI, you can show terrain, right? You can hide that, you can show scenery. If you remember watching the Blindfold Hanani video, this is what basically was used in order to play RuneScape without being able to see anything, which is just something I don't really recommend. But if you're watching videos, this is how you would get your, like your background footage or something, and something I really recommend if you're getting into video making in order for you to grab B-roll footage. But this is basically everything I recommend, or I mean, some of the tools I recommend in order for you to start getting into the basics of animation, thumbnails, and video making. So if you use them, let me know in the comments down below. So boys and girls, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I know it was a lot longer than my average video, but this is something I really wanted to get out there in order to guide the people the right way, in order for me to answer any question that you may have regarding my Runelite plugins if I'm not live on YouTube, and give you a lot more detail. If you watched until now, I want you to leave a comment with your favorite Runelite plugin and why you like using it so much. And if you leave RSN and your username in your comment, you'll be entered in our weekly bond giveaway, for which we will pick a winner on the Friday stream. Hopefully I said that correctly. Boys and girls, I want to give a massive thank you to every single person you see on screen right now for supporting this project I love so much monetarily. Every single contribution goes towards my family and a local animal shelter we help every month. So your contribution goes to help not only support my family, but also a good cause. You want to join this list of legends, click the join button below so you can see all the cool perks and rewards you can get in the videos, in the live streams, and in the Discord for a monthly fee. In the next one, I don't know what I'll be doing, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a banger. I'm still deciding between a few ideas before I go on a few trips in order to do some things that I'll be notifying you guys on Discord. But for now, I hope you have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you, maniacs, in the next one. Peace.